for 5, and he's continuing where he left off on Thursday.
Lovely shot. Actually, he waited for the ball and it ended up being played right under his nose. And because he waited, he got a bit squarer and it sped away to that backward point boundary. There's a man on the cover point boundary, but he couldn't get that. Lovely shot.
Last ball of the over from Saqib Mahmood. Let's see what Camphor does after he leaves that one. As well outside the off stump, end of the over. 27 gone, Ireland 91 for 5. Bearing in mind that Owen Morgan, he of the red head, young little cherubic features when he was playing for Ireland, the age of 16.
He's 16.
Made his debut against the Free Foresters at Eton College.
For Ireland?
Yes.
Really?
And I think was run out without facing. And was also run out for 99 on his ODI international debut for Ireland. A fellow called Kyle McCallan, we remember well, accidentally ran him out for 99. What would young Owen Morgan's nickname have been? It's a Coronation Street related nickname.
Oh dear.
Little red-headed child.
I'm not very good on Coronation Street, I'm afraid.
He was known as Little Chesney.
Oh, right.
Because he looked like Chesney out of Coronation Street. Adil Rashid is back on. Oh, that's a sweep. That's going to be a wicket. That's a dreadful shot by Lorcan Tucker. And the catch is taken by Rhys Topley. That was too wide to sweep. And Topley coming in from behind square had a very easy catch indeed. And that's another wicket down. And Lorcan Tucker won't look back in that shot with any degree of happiness. 91 for 6.
Well, it was a sort of premeditated sweep. And he was in no good position to do it. He was tempted by the fact that Morgan, who doesn't miss a trick, had no one on that leg side boundary, just 3 men saving a single there. So he almost premeditated, right, there's a gap there, I'm going to find it. But the problem for him was that he received a leg break that was quite wide of off stump when it started, and then started going further away, and he got into a horrible position, and it ended up as a gentle top edge to Topley, who's just behind square there on the leg side. You can understand the thinking, but the execution not great. And so 91 for 6.
Tucker was caught. Topley bowled Rashid. Rashid's third wicket of the day for 21 off 31 balls. And
I think it's
Simi Singh, the next man in for Ireland.
It's in this day and age. This is why I'm a bit worried that when in England we stop playing 50-over cricket. It is a different game to 20 overs. It's such a long time, and you have got scope to dig in and rebuild an innings, and still leave yourself 20 overs in which you might get, in the modern style, 100, 150, if you've got batsmen who are set. But he's gone, playing a big shot.
Simi Singh, Irish spin bowler, defensive shot offered off his first delivery.
So you look at Rashid's field now, tells you what's happening. There's just a solitary boundary fielder for the spinner. The rest are all either in the ring or at first slip, and it's short extra cover.
Rashid in again, and Simi Singh gets low to play that defensively. He had a bit of an aberration, you would say, Simi Singh on Thursday. Ran himself out pretty much off 4 deliveries. Banton, the man throwing the ball in, but it probably should read Banton stroke Singh. He plays that in the onside.
And he's got his
single.
Run. He's got his run. He's run out in that first match. Ran himself out, really. Called for an impossible single, sent back.
A rush of blood it was.
Yeah, well, he's got one there. That, by the way, was Rashid's 150th ODI wicket.
Camphor is back on strike. And suddenly it's the old familiar feeling. Curtis Camphor will be asked to again play a big innings for Ireland. Andy McBride's still waiting, his main partner from Thursday. It's a remarkably similar day, though, for Ireland so far. Ooh. That ball's been left and cunningly left.
It's the Google. He didn't miss by much.
He's got a good poker face, though, Curtis Camphor. No emotion revealed whatsoever at the end of the over. Ireland 92 for 6. Singh's on 1, Camphor's on 8. And currently Rashid 3 for 19 off his 7 overs.
Yeah, and he's loving it. He's in great rhythm. He's got a whole host of batsmen there who are really struggling to.
He's got quite a long tail to come as well.
Yeah, well, the other day, Andy McBride played a good knock, and they'll need another one from him. Simi Singh never got going. Clearly this pair have ability. Sakib's having a break. We're going back to Moeen. Because he doesn't have to bowl Moeen for his full quota now that James Vince has bowled 4 overs, I think.
Yep.
Rashid will certainly want to bowl. I imagine they'll just keep going with Rashid because he could bowl them out very cheaply. He's their most penetrative bowler at the moment, without a question.
Moeen Ali so far, 2 overs, no maidens, no wicket for 8. A gentle opener for the stretching Simi Singh, averaging 14 with the bat. This is Singh's 21st one-day international for Ireland. And again, a cautious defensive shot. The man who arrived in Ireland as a student many years ago and vowed that he would end up playing for the Irish international cricket team. He was slightly laughed at. And eventually he did battle his way, made his debut at the age of 30. He's 33 now. And he's facing Moeen Ali, and he's forward in the full face of the bat, shown to the Ireland vice-captain. As we noted on Thursday, doesn't half get through his overs at a fair old lick.
Yeah.
Doesn't hang about, back to his mark. David Willey's the man at long on. Slightly more spread out field as Simi Singh cuts for a single. And Adil Rashid has at the other end. And again, there's just a little bit of a slow, drowsy feel as Ireland, who have lost wickets regularly throughout their 28.4 overs so far. Not really a big partnership to speak of as Moeen is in once more. And that's just pushed away defensively by Curtis Camphor. Still a name you have to get your teeth through, Camphor. It's not one we've ever come across before.
Well, I think you might have to get used to it, Michael.
I think so. One hopes so. Being strictly non-neutral. A little bit more room given, and that should have possibly been pounced on by Camphor, instead of which he picked out the man there in the covers, who's James Vince, end of the over. Ireland 93 for 6 off 29.
So the like Simi Singh, for example, would have a sort of central contract.
Well, you're going to start asking me difficult contractual questions.
Will he have
Victor?
His main employee will be Irish cricket.
Yes,
that's how it works.
19 fully professional players.
That's as difficult as I'm going to make.
Right, that's good. I'm a bear of very little brain, Victor, as you should know by now. Right, Cameron Rashid end up with a 5 for his 3 for 19 so far. And I think he caught everybody unawares there. He'll have another go at the opening delivery of his 8th over. And that's a very wide delivery indeed, and signalled wide. So a little bit of relief for Simi Singh. Doesn't have to play on that delivery. There's one slip. There's a short third man. 2 inside this circle, plus mid-off on the offside. 1 the square boundary. As Rashid is, and that's on the other side, and that drops down the leg side, missed by Bairstow. I don't know if the batsman got anything on that, but it's reached the boundary. And that has been signalled. Well, it's certainly 4. Is it 4 off the bat or off the pad or off nothing at all? I think we're waiting to find out. Signalled as out. What was that signalled as there? It's a free hit. Must have been a no ball. Rashid is in, drops that one short and smashed away by the batsman. Singh's got 1 for it, and just 1. And Ireland move on to 99 for 6. A regeneration has happened beside me. Victor's turned into Tamal Mills, which is a big improvement, I think. And we'll have, at the end of the over, I'll hand over to Ishaguhar, as Rashid is in once more and struck by Camphor behind square on the offside. That's a chase for Moeen, but he'll leave it to Sam Billings. They come back for 2, very tidily taken runs by Ireland. And they're now past the century, 102 for 6. And it's been hard work indeed, Tamal.
Yep, more of the same from the first ODI, unfortunately, if you're an Irish fan. Adil Rashid been brilliant again. 3 wickets for 24 so far from his 7.
Just play it out on the onside by Curtis Camphor. Tamal's very good with the sanitised wipes.
Just doing as I'm told. We got told off, didn't we, in email, we got to be a bit more hygienic.
Rashid is in, twirls again, and watchful from Curtis Camphor, who's currently on 10. Big smile. He's taken international cricket. He's got a boyish, very young face. 21 years old. 2 deliveries left in this Rashid over, and that's it was a swing and a hit. Possibly should have gone further. He picked out the man at short mid wicket. No run. And the final delivery of Rashid's 8th over as the sun once more comes out from behind a cloud. Rashid is in and driven to one of those 2 men inside the circle on the offside. So Curtis Camphor, he's on 10. Simi Singh's on 3. And at the end of the 30th over, Ireland 102 for 6. Further thoughts from Tamal, and then we'll hear from Ishaguhar.
Yeah, no ball aside. Good work from Adil Rashid, as we've seen so far throughout this short international white ball summer. Operating with an interesting field, nobody out on the leg side. Just 3 fielders in the ring mid-on. Square leg and short fine leg, all inside the ring for Adil Rashid. So looking to bowl exclusively outside the off stump, Moeen Ali. And bowl in tandem with him from our end.
As that is punched out too long on for a single. Curtis Camphor is now on strike. 103 for 6. We're into the 31st over here at the Ageas Bowl. Ireland having won the toss and elected to bat first as Ali bowls at a good length. It's played to mid-wicket by Camphor, wristily. No run is taken. And find themselves in choppy waters once again here. The Ireland team, as Ali comes through, bowls. Camphor works it to mid-wicket, which is stopped by James Vince diving to his right. No run. As Ali has the ball back in his hand once more. Camphor with a 50 in the first match. In his ODI debut, he gets back, misses the ball. Good length delivery outside the off stump from Ali. Goes through to Johnny Bairstow as he just rehearses that shot once more. Field up on the offside. As Camphor taps his bat down. Now high as he drives back to Moeen Ali off the front foot. In danger of grinding to a halt here at the moment, Ireland. Not looking to take the attack to the spinners, just the 1 run from this over. As Ali comes in again and Camphor on the back foot punches out to long on for the final ball of the over. Goes to 104 for 6, the score after 31 overs. Camphor to 11, Singh on 4. And they're in this situation because of all the wickets that have fallen, Tamal, but it's frustrating viewing, isn't it? Because you want them to try and be aggressive, but unfortunately their problem is they don't want to take too many risks.
Yeah, and it's not the free-flowing 50-over one-day cricket that we've become used to in the last few years, unfortunately, if you are an Irish fan.
As Rashid comes in now, Camphor looking to sweep, finds its way to mid-wicket. Tom Banton there dives, turns and throws as it comes in, and they come through, they scamper through for 1. So score 105 for 6.
But you're right, they're not in a position where they can take too many risks. You see a slug sweep there, which was well fielded. It's about as adventurous they can get at the moment.
She bowls, swept past, fine leg.
तो हेलो गाइस, इंग्लैंड वर्सेस आयरलैंड का ये मैच चालू है, जिसमें सेकंड ओडीआई ये मैच चालू है इंग्लैंड वर्सेस आयरलैंड के बीच में, जिसमें आयरलैंड का स्कोर अभी 109 रन हो चुका है 6 विकेट पर। तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा खराब हालत यहाँ पर आयरलैंड की एक बार फिर से दिख रही है इस मैच में भी। तो इंग्लैंड ने प्रेशर बनाया हुआ है। इंग्लैंड का मैं आपको बॉलिंग अपडेट कर देता हूँ, थोड़ा सा स्कोर अपडेट की तरफ हम चल लेते हैं यहाँ पर, क्योंकि आयरलैंड ने आज टॉस जीता था, पहले बैटिंग करने का फैसला किया था। और आयरलैंड का ये फैसला उसके लिए कुछ खास साबित नहीं हो रहा है, क्योंकि 30 ओवरों का एक गेम निकल जा चुका है और इस 30 ओवरों में अभी तक 106 रन आए हैं स्कोर कार्ड पर, और साथ ही 6 विकेट आ चुके हैं। तो आयरलैंड की आधी से ज्यादा टीम खत्म हो चुकी है, जा चुकी है वापस पेविलियन में। अभी सिमी सिंह खेल रहे हैं और कर्टिस स्टैम्पर खेल रहे हैं, और सामने आदिल रशीद, आदिल रशीद बॉलिंग फेंक रहे हैं इंग्लैंड की तरफ से, साथ में मोइन अली। तो दोनों ही टॉप के स्पिनर हैं, दोनों ही अच्छी बॉलिंग करते हैं, और इंग्लैंड आयरलैंड जैसी टीम को आउट कर देना इंग्लैंड के बॉलरों के लिए कोई बड़ा मुश्किल काम नहीं लग रहा है।
As they move to 109 for 6 inside the 32nd over.
Yeah, it's good batting from Simi Singh. I mentioned in between overs, Adil Rashid's operating with this field with nobody out on the boundary on the leg side. A packed offside field, so he just shuffled across.
Singh is struck on the pad. They go up for the appeal. Adil Rashid is pleading. He's on one knee, pleading at David Milnes. Turns around to Morgan, and it's a quick chat. I think he believes it might have gone down the leg side as the DRS timer counts down. He's now back at the top of his mark. Running towards us, bowls. Singh on the back foot, chopping to short third, no run.
Adil Rashid and Morgan, they're wanting the Irish batsmen to play cross-batted shots, sweep shots, pull shots, tempting them with no boundary riders on the leg side.
Singh sweeps again, struck, and another appeal. Struck on the hip, I think it was. Is now they do look to review. Morgan with the signal. So Singh looking to sweep out to the leg side, a good length delivery on around the off stump. I just wonder if height might have been an issue.
Yeah, potentially. Simi Singh taking the bait that Owen Morgan and Adil Rashid have put out for him. Let's take a look at the replay. Googly again from Adil Rashid. Struck him.
Okay, looks not right. Can you just rock and roll that for me then? Just as it goes past the bat, please, James.
That's Mike Burns, the third umpire.
Yeah, okay. I'll copy that. Just nice and slow.
No bat involved.
Okay. Let's go to Ultra Edge, please.
This will just confirm it.
Clearly no bat involved. Clearly no bat. Can we go to ball tracking, please?
He's actually struck on the shoulder. He's got outside the line of off stump.
Pitching outside. Impact outside. And wicket's missing. Can we go back on field to David? David, you're on field now. You can stick with your original decision of not out.
So England lose a review. Quite clearly impact outside the line of off stump, hitting him on the shoulder. They've got one review left, England, as Rashid comes through now to Simi Singh, who's forward pressing and covering the ball with an angled bat. He pats it back to the bowler at the end of the over. It's 109 for 6. 32 overs have been bowled. Sunshine here at the Ageas Bowl as a cluster of clouds over to our right seems to be moving across the ground. And Moeen Ali will continue. But what will they be looking for here? 6 as an over will take them up to 217. Is it just about getting past that 200 mark?
Yeah, well, 172 is what they managed on Thursday in the first ODI, so you want to surpass that as a start for some improvement.
There's Ali bowls, Camphor drives to extra cover, no run.
And again, similar to the first ODI, they just want to bat the overs, make sure they bat the 50 overs. See what 17.5 remaining, only 4 wickets.
Kampfer punches out to long on for the front foot, comes through for 1. Score 110 for 6. We're into the 33rd over here at the Ageas Bowl, the second one-day international. Kampfer to 13, trying to do another repair job for his side as Simi Singh sets up bat still. Now pushes past mid-wicket out to long on for another 1. So they casually come through.
Liam Livingston doing the field. Is he on for Willie again? Can't see David
see his
Willie on the
floppy
field.
hat, no.
Yeah, so Willie's off again. Obviously got a bit of a complaint, which would suggest why James Vince obviously had to bowl 4 overs earlier on in the innings.
Kampfer is on the back foot and punches out to long on. Liam Livingston there, coming about 30 metres off the boundary to throw it back.
Willie's coming back onto the field, see him coming down the stairs. You just spot him by his floppy hat. See him coming down the stairs. So he's coming back on, so it's obviously not serious enough where he doesn't feel he can continue to field, but obviously problematic enough to come off a couple of times.
Kampfer to 14 as Singh is backing across and on the back foot, guiding that out to deep cover with the full face as he comes through for another single. So 4 singles in this over. Singh to 10, 113 for 6. Ali, through his action, bowls flat as Kampfer is deep in his crease, turning it out to fine leg. He'll come through another 1 at the end of the over as Rashid sends a throw in to Bairstow. So 33 overs have been bowled, 114 for 6 now, just rotating the strike island at this stage as the 2 players meet in the middle, relatively similar sizes. It's the tallest of players, but they're in deep conversation trying to work out how they're going to navigate through these last 17 overs and up the scoring rate.
Yeah, we've got another 6 overs of spin between Ali and Rashid, and then back to the quickies to finish things off. Obviously Topley and Mahmood bowl the majority of the last overs, with David Willey, we're assuming, not going to bowl again, although he is back on the field. It's come on for Liam Livingston. Adil Rashid's going to finish his allocation of 10.
3 for 29 so far as Rashid bowls. It's driven by Kampfer to cover, no run. I've had an email in from David Cotham, New Forest, as Rashid has the ball back in his hand at the top of his mark, spins himself a catch. Coming in from the Rod Bransgrove end as he bowls, and Kampfer pushes to the offside. Extra cover there to collect the ball, no run. Bowling full of a length. Here's a thought: when Owen Morgan steps down, who better to take his place than someone who featured in last year's World Cup winning squad? Has captained his side to a one-day trophy as she bowls again, beats the edge through to Bairstow. Good amount of turn there off a good length for Rashid as Kampfer sets himself up once again. Played very well in the Winter's Big Bash and PSL. Is a very destructive batsman as Kampfer dabs to short third. Slip was interested there. Jason Roy in position as they don't take a single, and Rashid comes through again. A couple of steps and then he's through. As Kampfer punches past the bowler in the air out to the long off boundary. Adil Rashid raising both hands to try and take the catch as it bursts through, and Kampfer goes to 19. Much needed boundary for Ireland as they go to 118 for 6.
Yeah, nice shot from Curtis Kampfer, picking up where he left off in the first ODI of his unbeaten half century. Down on one knee, slog sweep straight back past Adil Rashid, wasn't able to take the return catch, and nice positive stroke from the young new Irishman.
New Irishman has Kampfer on the back foot, carves out to deep cover. Slightly more back of a length from Adil Rashid as he comes through for another 1. At the end of the over, 5 runs coming from it, and that is Adil Rashid done. 3 for 34 from his 10 overs, 119 for 6 after 34 that have been bowled here in the first innings at the Ageas Bowl. Kampfer to 20, Singh on 10. As an Irish grandmother, Curtis Kampfer was discovered a couple of years ago in South Africa playing in Pretoria by the coach, Graham Ford, and has been fast-tracked into this Ireland lineup. We did wonder whether he might make his debut in that first game and proved to be a shining light in what was a dismal batting performance, picking up 50. Here he is again trying to save the day. Just casually looks over to the leg side boundary. I'll come back to that email in just a second as Ali bowls slow outside the off stump. That's punched out to deep cover, quite far in front as cover dives to his right. They'll come back for 2. The throw comes in now. Kempford's 22, 121 for 6. So
I know exactly what this man from the New Forest is trying to get at. Obviously, the New Forest not too far from here. I'm assuming he's a Hampshire fan, probably has a regular seat somewhere near where we are looking. Would have watched a certain man bat a lot of times here. I'm sure that's what he's about to get at.
As Kempford pulls out to the deep mid-wicket boundary. It was short from Moeen Ali. That should find the rope. It does. Sam Billings had no hope running around to his left to collect it. He was positioned at a deep mid-wicket, but he hit it with too much force, Kempford, as he goes to 26, 125 for 6.
Yeah, poor ball from Moeen Ali, dragged down, half tracker. But Kempford still had to put it away, hit it forcefully at the middle of his bat, and another boundary.
Ali bowls, tosses this one up. Kempford on the front foot, defending to Morgan, an extra cover. I mean, there are quite a few different options probably before James Vince, you would think.
Potentially. Sorry, I'll let you read his email. I'm sure he's taken the time to write it.
Ali bowls to Kempford, who's again forward in defence, back to the bowler. No, he just continues to mention James Vince's stats and then the addition of the fact that he's a handy infield bowler. Step forward, Mr. James Vince is Kempford on the back foot, patting it to the offside, no run. Who would be the man in succession? Jos Buttler?
Yeah, you'd think Jos Buttler, wouldn't you?
The vice?
As you say, current vice captain of the England one-day side, obviously not here on test duty at the moment.
Kempford drives firmly to mid-off as Reece Topley gets the long barrier out and lobs the ball to Moeen Ali. No run is taken at the end of the over then, 125 for 6 after 35 overs. We've had lots of different descriptions of Reece Topley today.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? I said a mixture of Rambo.
Yeah, he's a bit of a
Crouch.
He's a he's a bit of a maverick, Toppers. He's not shy of taking his own path, doing his own thing, going his own way. So obviously lockdown has allowed you to, hasn't it? You've got an excuse there, a ready-made reason to kind of maybe go against the grain of what you normally would do stylistically.
Some more than others, Tamal.
And people have pushed it out. There's not too much I can do. I just shaved my head. That's
not that was what I was alluding to at all.
So Mahmood's going to come back into the attack. A bit more pace to replace Adil Rashid. Bowled brilliantly, didn't he? Rashid, 1 for 26 in the first ODI, 3 for 34 today, I think it was, 33. Really good start to his white ball summer.
Bowling from the pavilion end then, Saqib Mahmood. He's past the umpire to Kempford, driving to extra cover, no run. Full length delivery and around off stump. He's got 2 men back in the deep at deep backward square and fine leg. He's bowled good pace, Timal. Shows there's many different ways to do it. We look at Jofra Archer, who just ambles in and then it's bang at you. Saqib Mahmood has a bit more pace in his run-up, and a longer one at that. He comes through quite slingy. Shuffles forwards, arms pumping now. Slingy action, ball short. Kempford turns it to the leg side off his toes, comes through for 1. To square leg, Johnny Bairstow runs to collect the ball, tosses it back in as they pick up just the 1, 26 to Kempford then, 126 for 6 inside the 36 over.
Yeah, skiddy pace from Saqib Mahmood. I'm not sure he's quite got over the 90 miles an hour that you see from Jofra Archer and Mark Wood, but as you say, does it a different way. That slingy action can definitely extract movement at both ends of the innings. Obviously didn't come on till after the 20th over today.
Apologies, it's Kempford on strike now as he drives firmly to extra cover, no run. Good let delivery outside the off stump.
Owen Morgan clearly giving him a good run at that, the Liam Plunkett role, looking for somebody in the 50 over squad to take wickets in the middle period. Mahmood not been able to take any so far into his 5th over. but that's something that I'm sure they've got one eye on. Obviously, you have Archer and Wood that would come into this side, this squad, that obviously bring you that X factor, that pace. But I mean, Morgan having a good look at Saqib Mahmood over the course of this series, as well as the other bowlers. Reece Topley getting his first go today. Tom Curran sitting out, of course.
Yeah, it's tremendous depth as Mahmood rushes in, bowls good length to Camphor, defending to the offside, looks to set off for a run, but realises that O'Morgan is pretty much at the ball, so says no in the end.
Yeah, all the batsmen that were speaking about this training camp that they had here recently spoke about the quality of bowling. I read today there was the youngster Henry Brooks from Warwickshire.
Yeah.
He obviously he was part of the England training squad, didn't make the final cut, and then he didn't make the Warwickshire 4-day side for this match. So he's gone from being in the England training camp one week, and then he's turning out for his club side today on a Saturday up in Warwickshire. So nice for the club Birmingham League bowlers.
Mahmood bowls short, Camphor pulls away, it's a top edge down to fine leg. Reece Topley sprinting to the ball, they push for the second as throw comes in over the top of the stumps. Camphor to 28, 128 for 6. In fact, it's leg byes signalled, so Camphor will remain on 26. So that must have come off shoulder.
Maybe the helmet.
What's happened here?
Might be a helmet.
Yeah,
so
it
might
is
have
helmet.
a check of the helmet. A physio will have to come on and do the required concussion tests. Make sure he's all okay. Seems okay. He stood talking to the umpire. Looks like we're going to take drinks as well.
Yeah. Well, there is a break in play. Players will come together. And ground staff as well, just to clear up the wickets. So 128 for 6 are Ireland inside the 36 over. A few more words from you, Tamal, and then it will be Kevin.
Yeah, drinks here at the Ageas Bowl. Ireland 128 for 6. The Bob Willis Trophy's back today. So Mr. County Cricket's coming to join me, Kevin Howes. I'll give you a quick run through the scores. Sussex playing at home against Hampshire, 176 all out for my boys, unfortunately. Gloucester going well, 190 for 2 against Worcestershire. Somerset playing against Glamorgan down at Taunton, 176 for 8. Warwickshire bowled out Northamptonshire for 142 and a 29 for 1 in their reply. Nottinghamshire versus Derbyshire, delayed. Assume a little bit of rain in the Midlands. Don't get rain down south, do we?
You're good. Keep this going.
I'm giving it a go, I'm reeling it off. Nottinghamshire 209 for 7. Durham versus Yorkshire. Durham struggling at 82 for 7 up at the Emirates Riverside. Lancashire versus Leicester at New Road. Lancashire 192 for 4. Battle of the Bridge, Essex versus Kent.
Oh, you are good. Keep this going. Yeah, this is great. Yeah.
At my old stomping ground, Chelmsford. Kent are going well, 245 for 4. And finally, the London Derby, Surrey versus Middlesex at the Oval. Middlesex are 188 for 3. And that is your county roundup with Tamal Mills.
That's quality. That very much is quality. Talking of quality, Adil Rashid today, has he fully committed himself to white ball only? I'm trying to rack my brains where we are with Adil, and because it doesn't matter the opposition, the way he is bowling at the moment is just brilliant. Yeah. You just think to yourself, Adil, is this because he is able just to concentrate on this? So obviously everything's sort of topsy-turvy with COVID and all that sort of stuff, where, you know, players haven't been playing for ages. But I'm just thinking, Adil, really, we could have got a bit more out of him, couldn't we?
Yeah, and they're actually speaking about it on the television commentary. I was just listening whilst I was on my break, and they said if you watch Adil Rashid, these 20 overs he's bowled today and in the first ODI, you'd think, you know, that would do a brilliant job in all formats, wouldn't it? And for one reason or another, it hasn't really worked out for him in Test cricket. I'm not sure if he's really loved the opportunities he has been given. A lot of people just aren't that way inclined. You know, I certainly enjoyed one-day cricket more than I did Test match cricket. I'm not saying that Adil hasn't enjoyed it, but he has had periods where he's taken himself out. No, I'm not available for 4-day cricket for Yorkshire and Test match cricket for England. Then he's come back, and obviously now it was an easy scenario just to stay. Okay, look, shorten summer, let's play some white ball cricket. But you're right, I'm sure everybody watching at home, listening at home within the England camp will see the way that he started this summer playing these 2 ODIs and think, oh, what a shame he doesn't do it for us in all forms.
mean, some players, and I certainly would never be critical of this, others would, but they say, well, you know, a career is only of a certain length. Where could I make my most money and get the most? And whether that played a factor in his mind. Adil has never seemingly been the sort of spinner you can go to if you want to slow things up, if you want to insert a bit of control on an innings which is running away from you. But he takes wickets, and right now you take a look at it and you think to yourself, I just wonder whether there's a bit more red ball in him at some point. But we'll see.
There may well be. He's played a lot of red ball cricket over the year. He's been playing first-class cricket for Yorkshire forever, hasn't he? But no, you're right. And look, he doesn't go and play loads of franchise cricket. He rarely plays any franchise cricket, to be honest. But he's a regular for England in 50 over and T20 cricket. He's a brilliant bowler. Just in a replay on the screen, it was a knock to the head that Curtis Camphor took off Saqib Mahmood, but he's all okay after the concussion test that I'm sure he had to do, and they're back out here after their drinks. Saqib Mahmood's going to continue.
Well, it's okay, but it'll be interesting to see how he responds to that. Camphor, only in his second ODI, of course, and it's Mahmood in, and that final ball of that over, we eventually get to it, and that's pushed into the offside, and there'll be a single. So Camphor, the end of 36 overs, Ireland 129 for 6. And the all-rounders on 27 off 45 balls, 3 fours, Singh 11 off 19 and 1-4. That last over just going for 4 runs. So here we are with 14 overs remaining. 129 is modest. It's such a difficult job because, I mean, do you go for it? Do you not go for it? You just, you know, obviously you want to see how you're full 50, but in the situation they're in. But Camphor, he showed himself to be very worthy of putting a bit of faith and confidence of getting a few more runs on the board. So too Andy McBride. Yet to see Moeen Ali with some spin in bowls, and that one's pushed up to David Willey to come off the boundary at long off. His hat comes flying off as he makes his way to the ball, and there's another single. It's on to 130 for 6. And Moeen Ali, more of a breeze blowing. That's picked up actually in the last hour or so. Worked away onto the onside where Banton will do the fielding. There'll be no run. So Moeen Ali, 7th over, 6.2 over so far, no wicket for 23. Next time he's in, and it's just turning it around, trying to find a gap either side of Banton, but can't do so at the moment. That's drilled along the ground for a single for Moeen bowling from this on the offside north end. Now, Adil Rashid's bowled this, pushes the ball onto the lakeside again to Singh, who's had a better time of it today than he did the first day when he was run out. Awaits this next delivery. Does find a big enough gap to go through for a single to David Willey at long on. So the ball just ticking along here. How do you think Ireland should be playing it at the moment? Moeen Ali to bowl to Camphor. Leans back. He'll get a run and no more, square on the offside for a single.
Yeah, you're right. It's a difficult situation to find in, where the stick will twist with where you are. But the top order haven't done the job again, and then you find yourself middle order having to play catch up. I think Curtis Camphor can really hold his head high through what we're almost a game and a half through the series, having not played international cricket before, to score an unbeaten.
तो गाइस, आयरलैंड वर्सेस इंग्लैंड का मैच चल रहा है, जिसमें आयरलैंड ने 134 रन बनाकर 6 विकेट उनके खो दिए हैं और 37 ओवर चल रहा है। सिर्फ लगभग 13 ओवर का गेम बाकी है। 13 ओवर का भी गेम अब पूरा नहीं बाकी है। तो आयरलैंड ने स्कोर, अभी आयरलैंड की हालत खराब ही हम कहेंगे इसे। आयरलैंड की हालत खराब है, लेकिन पिछले मैच के मुकाबले काफी अच्छी है। इस मैच में अभी तक ये जो पार्टनरशिप है, 43 रन की पार्टनरशिप पर ये जोड़ी पहुंच चुकी है, जिसमें सिमी सिंह 13 रन बनाकर खेल रहे हैं 24 बॉलों पर, और साथ ही कुरटिच कैंपर जो है वो अच्छा खेल रहे हैं, 30 रन बनाकर वो खेल रहे हैं। उनका साथ अच्छा दे रहे हैं सिमी सिंह। शाकिब महमूद बॉलिंग पर, जिन्हें एक भी विकेट अभी तक नहीं मिला है। अपना छठा ओवर वो लेकर आए हैं ऑलरेडी। छठा ओवर उनका चल रहा है बट उन्हें विकेट नहीं मिल रहा है। और दूसरी तरफ है मोइन अली, एक जाने माने बॉलर इंग्लैंड की टीम के, बट उन्हें भी आज यहाँ पर विकेट नहीं मिला है। अपने 7 ओवर वो फेंक चुके हैं। तो विकेट कहाँ गए हैं? तो विकेट लिए हैं, किस किस ने लिए हैं मैं आपको बता दूं। तो सबसे पहले जो स्ट्राइक बॉलर आए थे इंग्लैंड के, डेविड वैली, उन्होंने लिए थे विली, उन्होंने लिए थे 2 विकेट उन्होंने लिए थे। और उसके बाद थे टोपले, तो उन्होंने 5 ओवर में 13 रन देकर एक भी विकेट नहीं लिया। अगले जो बॉलर थे मोइन अली, उन्होंने भी एक भी विकेट, अभी तक 7 ओवर फेंक चुके हैं, अभी तक एक भी विकेट नहीं ले पाए हैं। जेम्स विंसे जो है 4 ओवरों में 18 रन उन्होंने दिए हैं, एक विकेट लिया है। और आदिल रशीद, यस आदिल रशीद अपने 10 ओवर फेंक चुके हैं और 3 बड़े विकेट निकाल चुके हैं। तो आदिल रशीद ने सबसे अच्छी इंप्रेसिव बॉलिंग की है आज यहाँ पर इंग्लैंड की तरफ से। उसके बाद आए थे शाकिब महमूद, जो अपना छठा ओवर फेंक रहे हैं और 24 रन दिए हैं, हालांकि कोई विकेट नहीं उन्हें मिला है। तो यह मैच सेकंड ओडीआई इंग्लैंड वर्सेस आयरलैंड का मैच, इंग्लैंड टूर ऑफ इंग्लैंड, आयरलैंड टूर ऑफ इंग्लैंड का मैच। तो सैटरडे आज 1 अगस्त को यह जो है दूसरा मैच यहाँ पर खेला जा रहा है, जिसमें आयरलैंड ने टॉस जीता है और बैटिंग करने का निश्चय किया है। साउथहैम्पटन से यह मैच लाइव जारी है, जिसमें आज प्लेइंग स्क्वाड में आपको बता देता हूँ, जिसमें जेसन रॉय है, ब्रेस्टो है, विंसे है, टॉम बेंटन है, इयन मॉर्गन है, सैम बिलिंग है, मोइन अली, डेविड विली, आदिल रशीद, रईसी टोपले और शाकिब महमूद। ये जो खिलाड़ी हैं वो आज यहाँ पर खेल रहे हैं। दूसरी तरफ पॉल स्ट्रिंग है, डेनले है, एंड्रू बेलबेन है, हैरी टेक्टर है, केविन ओब्रायन है, टुकर है, क्रूटिस कैम्फर है, सिमी सिंह है, एंडी मैकब्राइन है, जशुआ लिटिल, क्रेग यंग। तो ये टीम जो है आयरलैंड की आज यहाँ पर खेल रही है। ऑलरेडी 136 रन पर 6 विकेट हो गए हैं, 38 ओवर का गेम जा चुका है, सिर्फ 12 ओवर फेंके जाने बाकी है। तो क्या यहाँ पर आयरलैंड की टीम 50 ओवर पूरे खेल पाएगी आज के दिन के, या फिर आयरलैंड की टीम ऐसा नहीं कर पाएगी? जैसा हमने पिछले मैच में देखा था, तो इंग्लैंड का पल्ला बहुत ही ज्यादा भारी था। तो खैर अभी सभी लोग यह कह सकते हैं कि हाँ, पहले मैच में इंग्लैंड ने बहुत ही अच्छा खेल दिखाया था और आयरलैंड की टीम बहुत ज्यादा कमजोर है इंग्लैंड के मुकाबले। लेकिन फिर भी मैं एक चीज आपको बता सकता हूँ कि अगर यहाँ पर इंग्लैंड की बॉलिंग लाइनअप में थोड़ा सा और चेंज होता, तो यहाँ पर सोचिए कि इंग्लैंड आयरलैंड की क्या हालत करती। क्योंकि अगर यहाँ पर इंग्लैंड की टीम में जस्ट सोचने का बोलो, जस्ट अगर एंडरसन और स्टुअर्ट ब्रॉड जैसे खिलाड़ी अगर खेल रहे होते इंग्लैंड की टीम में आज, तो ये आयरलैंड कितने रन बना पाती। क्योंकि आपने देखा था टेस्ट मैच में इन दोनों ही खिलाड़ियों ने क्या शानदार बॉलिंग की थी। वेस्ट इंडीज जैसी एक स्ट्रॉन्ग टीम की धज्जियां उड़ा दी थी। दोनों मैच लास्ट के वेस्ट इंडीज हार गई थी, जिसमें स्टुअर्ट ब्रॉड ने तो लास्ट टेस्ट मैच में बहुत ही शानदार प्रदर्शन भी किया था। तो अगर ये दोनों खिलाड़ी आज यहाँ पर होते तो ये जरूर 100 रन के अंदर आज फिर से ऑल आउट हो जाती। यहाँ पर आयरलैंड की टीम 100 रन के अंदर ऑल आउट हो जाती है, बिल्कुल कह सकता हूँ। लेकिन फिलहाल वो नहीं खेल रहे हैं, लेकिन फिर भी बॉलिंग अच्छी जा रही है। लगभग मोइन अली ने कमाल ले रखी है। मोइन अली फेंक रहे हैं, अपना 8वां ओवर फेंक रहे हैं, 26 रन वो दे चुके हैं, विकेट एक भी नहीं लिया है मोइन अली ने। दूसरी तरफ 8 ओवर कंप्लीट भी हो चुके हैं यहाँ पर मोइन अली के। और शाकिब महमूद अपना 7वां ओवर लेकर आ गए हैं। शाकिब महमूद के बारे में थोड़ा सा मैं आपको प्रोफाइल देता हूँ। 23 साल के वो शाकिब महमूद, जिसमें उन्होंने 3 ही ओडीआई खेले हैं, जिसमें बैटिंग नहीं की है, सिर्फ बॉलिंग की है। और बॉलिंग में उन्हें अभी तक 3 विकेट मिले हैं 3 मैचेस में। तो अभी नए नए हैं शाकिब महमूद, आगे चलकर राइट आर्म फास्ट मीडियम बॉल भी फेंकते हैं, तो राइट आर्म फास्ट मीडियम बॉलर है वो। तो आगे चलकर देखते हैं कि इंग्लैंड के लिए क्या कर पाते हैं। तो फिलहाल उन्हें मौका दिया गया है आयरलैंड जैसी टीम के खिलाफ कुछ कर दिखाने का, लेकिन फिर आज उन्हें विकेट जरूर लेना होगा। अगर इस कमजोर टीम के सामने भी आप विकेट नहीं ले पाते हो, तो आपको अभी बहुत कुछ सीखने की जरूरत है। लेकिन 6 ओवर फेंके जा चुके हैं शाकिब महमूद के द्वारा और 24 रन उन्होंने दिए हैं। सिर्फ रन कम दिए हैं नो डाउट, बट विकेट भी नहीं निकाल पाए हैं। दूसरी तरफ आयरलैंड के खिलाड़ी जो इम्प्रेसिव रहे अभी तक, कैम्फर, वो आज के मैच में 31 रन बनाकर खेल रहे हैं, 3 बाउंड्रीज उन्होंने लगाई है। सिर्फ 21 साल के 21 ईयर्स के कैम्पर और बॉलिंग ऑलराउंडर है बेसिकली। 2 ही उन्होंने मैच खेले हैं, यस ये उनका दूसरा है, जिसमें अगर बैटिंग की बात करें तो उन्होंने 89 रन बनाए हैं और 52 के स्ट्राइक रेट के साथ। हाईएस्ट उनका 59 है, तो अच्छा खेले हैं वो। अभी तक 2 मैच खेले हैं जिसमें उन्होंने हाईएस्ट 59 है और ये तीसरी बार अभी 31 बनाकर खेल रहे हैं। आगे चलकर ये जो खिलाड़ी है कैम्फर, ये आयरलैंड की टीम के लिए एक अच्छा खिलाड़ी साबित हो सकता है। दूसरी तरफ है सिमी सिंह। सिमी सिंह के बारे में मैं आपको थोड़ी सी डिटेल दे देता हूँ। सिमी सिंह भटाला पंजाब से बिलोंग करते हैं। यस, सिमी सिंह एक इंडियन है जो खेल रहे हैं आयरलैंड की टीम से और पंजाब से बिलोंग करते हैं। 33 इयर्स के वो हैं, जो एक बैटिंग ऑलराउंडर है। अभी तक 20 मैचेस वो खेल चुके हैं ओडीआई आयरलैंड की तरफ से।
Johnny Bairstow actually did make the appeal fairly quickly, but he's conned himself and everybody else there, I'm afraid. And now England, I don't think, got any reviews now. I think they've lost both.
A little bit of over-excitement from Johnny, I feel.
Yeah, 138 for 6 remains. We're in this 40th over. Ireland still got 2 reviews remaining. Saki Mahmood in bowls and edge down towards Moeen Ali out at third man. 139 for 6. We've got an email. Oh, it's disappeared. Which I think is probably a good thing, because it was somebody saying nice things about you. Very nice things about you. However, they wanted for some... Well, no, come off it now. Oh, it's back now. But they wanted to talk to you about your bowling. Or they wanted me to talk to you about your bowling.
About my bowling?
Oh, I know.
Oh, right. I'm in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, in that case, let's do it then. Mahmood, an edge of the bat, and that's going to run too fine for Moeen Ali to be able to cut that off down here in front of the rope. So a boundary for Ireland. 143 for 6. Ian Civiter, great to hear Michael Carberry on TMS. Greatly admired his skill, courage shown during that rather tricky Ashes tour. He did himself a great credit, but I'd like to ask about his bowling, particularly when he partnered Sir Alistair Cook during a tour match in Bangladesh. Figures look rather extraordinary. Hard to find any reports about what was going on. Ashes tour. He did himself a great... Well, we have. I think we can work this one out quite easily. Saqib Mahmood coming again from the pavilion end in bowls and worked away nicely. Good use of the wrists from Singh to get a single out there, and it's 144 for 6. Alistair Cook, Michael Carberry in the reports. 14 first-class wickets between them. A declaration slogfest. Carberry bowled 4 overs, took no wickets, went for 78 runs, just doing a job. Healthy economy rate of 19.5. Seems healthy, at least, when you compare to Alistair Cook's figures. 5 overs bowled, no wickets taken, 111 runs conceded.
So you would say I was sadly underused in that situation, right?
What happened is the question from Ian. Well, I think that's your report there, you see, a declaration. So, Michael, good team man. This ball's turned away onto the lakeside. But this is the question I think you'll most enjoy answering from Ian. Does Michael wish he'd bowled more during his career?
I always said I was the most underused first-class bowler there is. Let's talk about the 14 very unlucky men that I've got in my pocket. There's some good names in there as well.
Well, you do it, mate.
A good mate of mine, Jonathan Trott, is firmly in the pocket there as well.
Twice?
I've got Trotty once.
Okay.
Graham Hick is in there twice as well. So some good names.
Batters love to talk about the wickets they claimed during their career. Mahmood in, driven. That's very nicely driven, but David Willey can stop it. Good movement from David Willey to get across to it, to cut it off, but it's still a single.
And my most cherished one is the gentleman who's currently on the field right now, a certain Mr. Adil Rashid.
Okay, well, take us through that wicket.
Oh, yeah, I'll happily
because
take you through
at the
that
score,
one.
145 for 6, Ali Mitchell is going to replace me.
I'll happily take people through that one. It was a very gloomy day in Dubai. Not much happening. Yorkshire was flaying us everywhere. M. Carberry got thrown the ball to try and make something happen. Rashid was in, drifted it beautifully onto the front pad, hit him straight on the shin, front of all 3. No real appeal needed, and off you go on your bike. Thanks very much.
Afternoon, Michael.
Hello, Alison. How are you? I'm just taking you through my most cherished first-class wicket was my good mate, the fellow spin twin, Adil Rashid.
How many had he made?
I don't think he made many, actually. He was on about 5 or 6. I just drifted it enough.
Yeah.
Just held the seam a little bit differently. Just drifted it enough, spun back, bang, out.
And what really happened? I'm kidding. Here is Willie's back into the attack. We're into the last 10 overs. It's been pulled away nicely behind square. And Kampfer goes through for another one to take him on to 34. The partnership is worth 55. It's been extremely valuable for Ireland, getting their score into a slightly more respectable position. They were 96 for 6 when the two came together, 146 for 6 in the 41st over. I am going to take you back to Bangladesh, though, and that tour game. I mean, what happens in that situation? Here is Willie up the wicket now. He's got Singh on strike. Willie in, bowling full straight. It's defended, actually gone through his hands. Thought about maybe a single, but Moeen is there at mid-on to do the fielding. So the state of the game. I mean, paint the picture. Where in Bangladesh are you at this point? Chittagong,
I believe we were in
Dhaka?
Chittagong.
Yeah.
We were playing a Bangladesh 11, and we wanted something obviously to chase. So Alistair decided that the time was needed to lob a few up. He went for millions. I tried to do my job at the other end.
Willie in once more, and he tried to make some room, actually backing away towards leg. Willie thrown it out a little bit wider, and it's gone through to Bairstow, no run.
I mean, based on the figures there, Alison, it clearly showed that I was causing havoc when carnage was happening at the other end.
Figures have actually just gone off the screen, but I think Sir Alistair Cook had an almighty 22.2 runs per over. I mean, it's doing a job for the team, isn't it? When a declaration target is needed, you're the man for the job.
Absolutely. I've done it many a time.
Willie turns at the end of his mark. He has picked up 2 wickets the innings in his first spell. Turned quite ristily towards mid-wicket. Banton is there to pick up. 1 run taken. Sings on to 22. 147 for 6.
It was when Shane Warne was captain here for my first 2 years. He had a lot of faith in my bowling. He used to actually get more of a bowl under Shane Warne's captaincy than obviously James Vince. James Adams before James Vince. The 2 Jameses didn't quite see the potential, hence why I started to bowl less and less overs, sadly.
But Shane Warne, that's kind of the leg spinners sort of club. In goes Willie, full again, but it's a half stop it. Extra cover. They think about a single, but Reece Topley is there. It's gone through Morgan's hands, rare to see. But at mid-off, Topley's there, stoops down to pick up, and it saves the single.
I think Shane Warne liked my lack of run-up. I think that was what I was famous for. There's the sort of casual walk-in. I didn't feel the need for a run-up. It was all in the wrists and fingers.
Yeah. You can build up your shoulder strength as well. Yeah, get the rip from the shoulder.
Carrying this muscle for nothing, Alison?
I mean, what was Shane Warne like to play with and under? He captained Hampshire as well, didn't he? As Willie is in again now. Bouncer, swing and a miss. Goes through to Bairstow. Willie's looking up at the skies as if to say, how did he manage to not top edge that? So, end of the over. 147 for 6 after 41.
Yeah, I have a lot of fond memories of playing under Shane Warne. A huge gratitude to the great man for, I suppose, turning me into the international player. I really enjoyed his methodology. He's listening to him. He's got a fantastic cricket brain, and he's got that rare quality as a leader or an icon that was able to get that 1 or 2% out of the mere mortals in the team, which I saw at that time. And I was doing things that I never believed I could do. Just having someone like him encouraging you every day, I became the dominant player I was.
It's good to hear. As Mahmood is continuing from the pavilion end in now in full, real flick of the wristy shot to work it very fine down towards the fine leg boundary for 4. Timed that very well indeed. To Singh that time. Brings the 150 up for Ireland.
Lovely use of the wrists. Yeah, he got I thought initially it was an inside edge, but he's actually manufactured it down there. We've got right over left, as they say. Beautiful shot. Great placement.
Yeah, he knew there is a fine leg in place, but Reece Topley standing a fraction too wide to save that boundary. So Singh's on to 25 off 32. Kampfer 34 off 63. And it's Kampfer on strike now as Mahmood is in, and he looked to play that late. It's gone through to Bairstow, and the edge has been taken and caught. So Mahmood gets a wicket. It's a really important breakthrough. It was Singh on strike. But Bairstow's got the wicket, broken the partnership, and Ireland now 151 for 7 in the 42nd over.
Yeah, a little bit of a lazy shot, I'll be honest. A bit half-hearted, sort of dab down to third man in the situation. Needed to, again, stay a little bit longer at the crease, but, it was a great effort on his part.
On his way for 25 then. So another catch for Johnny Bairstow, second in the innings for him. 151 for 7. I mean, the 172 they made here a couple of days ago was Ireland's second lowest against England in the what's now 10 completed one-day internationals that they've played. So they've got to try and squeeze another 30, 40, I'd hope maybe 50 to get up to the 200 mark out of these last 3 wickets. But Andy McBride did play a good hand, didn't he? A solid hand for 40 in the first match here.
Yeah, actually, for the position he bats, I mean, he actually looked one of the more accomplished batsmen when all the carnage was going on around him. I thought he showed great support to Camphor in the first ODI. He's going to obviously have to repeat that form again, trying to give Camphor some support. If they can, they've got no option now but to really look at trying to take this game, try and bat out those 50 overs and try and eke out a score somewhere. Yeah,
these two, Camphor and McBride, put on 66 together for the 8th wicket in the first match. So it's not over yet by any stretch. And Camphor, a really talented looking player, is able to work with the middle lower order batsmen. But there's a job to be done yet. Saqib Mahmood is in now to the left-handed McBride. Faces up, gets a fullish ball. He's clipping a single up towards mid-on, and the shot at the stumps misses from Willie. And he had to put in the full dive. He's getting up and readjusting the pads. That's a way to get off the mark and make sure the blood's pumping.
I think he forgot David Willey was a left-handed thrower there. Picked it up beautifully straight into his throwing arc, and would have been out with a hit, you feel.
So much to be conscious of, isn't there, as a batsman, knowing the opposition so well to instinctively know, right, is that their left arm, is that their right arm? If you take a quick single to points, knowing it could be a single if it's a yard to the wrong throwing arm. Mahmood is in, punched back up towards Willie again. It's mid-off, no run. Yeah, but these are the things that are sort of discussed in meetings. You have all the footage now and laptops. It's all on phone apps and things like that. So you know who are the good fielders, who've got the good hands, who's quick across the ground, who's left-handed, who's right-handed, who hits the stumps. I think there's even percentages and ratios now that are all given to the information that's now given to players in their briefing. It's gaps for single on the onside, but keeps bowling. It's glided down towards third man, finds Moeen, fields just the single. Thought about a second, but the call from McBride was probably the wise one. No. 153 for 7 in this 42nd over. Rashid earlier 3 for 34. Someone else who Shane Warne would have taken delight, I think, in watching Rashid go about his business today. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought Rashid bowled beautifully again. The Irish batsman really battled with his googly today. Seems to take more wickets with his googly now than with the leg breaks. Uses it to very good effect. Around the wicket, Saqib the left-hander, and he just leant back and just dabbed it away down to very fine third man for 4. Reece Topley there wide, not able to cut it off, but very deliberately placed and played. Just waited for it. Yeah, smart batting. Mahmood, again, not really getting the bouncer up high enough. Reece Topley is quite square there for this ground, especially with the quick men on. Probably need to be a little bit finer, but excellent knowledge of where the fielders are and not trying to be too extravagant. Just use the pace, open the blade, and just spooning it over Johnny Bairstow for a well-deserved boundary. Yep. Ireland 157 for 7. That was the end of the 42nd over. So a little more David Willey to come. He's got 3 more overs that he can bowl. Mahmood and then Reece Topley will return to the attack as well for the close of the innings, if required, of course. But these two did a fine job in the first game. And Willey in again now. Camphor drops him square behind the umpire on the onside, coming back for a sharp second. The throw comes into the gloves of Bairstow and he's home. Some good running. There's got to be a little bit of urgency between the wickets for these two now to build a new partnership into the last 10, of course. About building up and trying to, if they can, get up and beyond the 170, 180 mark Shane Warne stands over there beside the Bransgrove Pavilion. The written press are housed in that stand during these matches at the Ageas Bowl. William, bouncer, it's been clubbed away high over deep square leg. Couple of bounces and 4. Billings was chasing after it, but he really got hold of that one. It went high.
Top shot. David Willey trying the bouncer, getting up a good height, but I do like this boy. He really, really is playing some good cricket. Dropped it in short and whack over, I think, Sam Billings out there, who didn't quite pick it up. But a welcome boundary for the Irish. Just starting to build a little momentum here.
12 off 6, this little partnership now with that 4. Billings is standing about 3/4 of the way back to the boundary, maybe a fraction more. But I don't mind another short one. He might fancy his chances of clearing the head again. Willie in once more, on a length, and it's angled towards short third man. The throw is a wildish one. 164 for 7 with another single.
Yeah, good. You know, the single followed up by after the boundary from Camphor. Really impressive.
Willie's been on fine form, as career best in the first match. 2 wickets in his opening spell here as well. Camphor stole the headlines in game 1, and at the moment he's well en route to stealing the headlines for Ireland in game 2. And you really hate to think what the total in both games would have looked like without his contributions. Willie, and again it's McBride on strike. It's full ball, wristily clipped away along the ground down to deep mid wicket. And jogging through for 1, McBride onto 6, 165 for 7 in this 43rd over.
Almost begs the question from an Irish perspective is, why is someone like Curtis Camphor batting so low? So far he's looked so accomplished, very confident in the 2 games he's played so far, and maybe case in point to try and get him up the order.
Yeah, he's certainly putting his hand up, isn't he?
Sure.
On strike as well, he's around the wicket too. It's a bouncer, and he's leant back and he's helped it up away down towards third man. Find the boundary because Saqib is controlling the third man boundary, covered a little bit of ground to his left to field, but he's capable of scoring all around the park. Whether it's a pull shot, he's quickly onto it. He's content to help it up over the top of where a slip cordon might have been. We've seen shots down the ground.
As I said, he looks very accomplished. I saw in the first game he was good on the back foot. As you say, he's got South African heritage. He's grown up on the faster wickets in South Africa, so he'll be adept on the pull and the cut.
I mean, to come up inside the circle at mid-off here for McBride, and Willie's over the wicket to him. Neatly played, down to fine leg, brings Saqib into play once more, just the single. Tight throw comes into Bairstow at the stumps. Ireland keeping it ticking, 167 for 7. 10 runs coming off that over, so if they can keep that up, then they'll be looking in a much healthier position than they were when they were 91 for 6.
Absolutely. The overs now ticking down, going into that 45 over mark of the game, which is crucial now, going into what we call the death overs, where they can start to have a look at what final total they should be pushing for. If McBride can give Camphor some support here, he himself is also a fine ball striker, as he proved in the first one of these games. Could be exciting. If they can push up now over possibly 210 is a probably realistic possibility.
Yeah, then keep up that sort of run rate. And England, we saw in the first game, there is a little bit of rustiness amongst the top order. There seems some edginess, isn't it? Jason Roy was really eager to play the shots, got out early. Bairstow got out early.
Yeah, there'll be some fragile. I reckon there'll be some fragile minds. Jane Vince needs a score. Jason Roy looked rusty, as you said. Johnny Bairstow didn't really get going, as did Tom Banton. He will want a score in this as well.
He was given an opportunity, wasn't he, up the order ahead of Owen Morgan, who was completely captain cool. Here is Rhys Sopley back again then, and glided down to third man. And for going through for another one to take him onto 44. And that was McBride on strike. Camphor 43 to his name and got a half century in his sights here for the second game in a row on debut. Remarkable.
It'll be interesting again, how this pitch plays as the game wears on. Historically here it does get slower. It's already had a game on it as well. with the Irish attack, who are not the quickest attack, how the English deal with that lack of pace. As they're generally a team that like pace on the ball, the likes of Roy and Bairstow.
Topley, tall figure, black headband on around the wicket to the right-handed Camphor, setting off very quickly, almost colliding with his batting partner McBride, taking a single through square leg, brings Vincent off the deep square leg boundary. Another one added comfortably. Well, Reece Topley's been another good story for this game, hasn't he? Back in the side for the first time since 2016.
Yeah, it's been good to see him back. He had horrific time of injury here at Hampshire. Didn't really, unfortunately, get the games he would have liked. Spent more time with the physios.
He's in now. Left arm over to McBride. Pulls the hand inside the line, perhaps at the last moment. Beaten past the outside edge. Topley striding back to his mark. Does look mean, doesn't he, with the thick black bandana. His hair is dark and curly, tousled, and he's
I'm not one to commentate on here, Alison, but I'm interested to see this lockdown hairdos that have been flying around the sort of ECB at the moment.
But his action and his bowling, there's a short ball banged in, and it's a swing and a miss from McBride, who knows there's nobody in front of square. There's a deep square leg in place. He can get in front of square, it would be safe, but he needs to make a good connection if he's going to take on the short ball from Topley. But just seeing him bound in, knowing all the stress fractures he's had with his back, the effort that's required to hit those bouncers, the force that bowlers put their body through every time they slam their foot down on the crease. It's good to see him doing it in an England shirt again. Over the wicket once more, full this time, and McBride doesn't really get hold of it. Along the ground, down to fine leg. Moeen stoops to pick up, and a gentle single's taken. 169 for 7.
And also from personal experience, I've had my issues with injuries and illness. It takes a lot of mental strength to keep redefining yourself as the athlete. Doing rehab can be mentally wearing. You do question whether you can do it again at this level.
Topley around the wicket now to the right-handed Camphor. He's almost chopped on an inside edge down to fine leg. It's Saqib running across to his right-hand side, picks up one more added. 171 for 7 after 44 overs. Camphor 45 from the 71 balls he's faced in just his second one-day international, and McBride 9 off 8. So it's after a healthy half-century stand between Camphor and Simi Singh. Got Ireland up and above the 150 mark. Where can they go in the last 6 overs of the innings? Batting through the 50 will be a little tick in the box to say we can see out the overs after being bowled out for 172 in the first game. We got to the 45 over mark then, so on track to perform better than that today. But whether it will be enough to cause any serious issues for England will be another matter. Bright sunshine overhead at the Ageas Bowl again after a bit of grey cloud rather naughtily scampered across the ground earlier. Vic,
have you given it a good talking to, that bit of cloud, have you?
Told it off.
Yeah.
Willie, new over. Camphor awaits, around the wicket he goes. Come back into him. To turn it to mid-wicket. Morgan is there, short mid-wicket to pick up and no run. What have you made of the innings, Vic? And Curtis Camphor taking part in another healthy partnership.
Yeah, you have to admire him, and he might have to go a bit further up the order, I think, just to stabilise these things. They've got respectability, but I'm not sure they've got a total that will win the game.
Camphor awaits, waves his bat as Willie is in, angling one in around the wicket, come off the pad, up behind square on the leg side. And a leg by signalled, 172 for 7.
My impression is that actually Ireland's problem, they've got this problem of rebuilding, but in the games that we've seen, the main issue is not the youngsters, it's the fact that the sort of 3 older experienced guys have struggled to contribute. And you hope that the youngsters will come in and play around the Sterlings and the O'Briens and the Balbernis, but they've struggled to fire at all.
Willie over the wicket to the left hand, who's advancing and driving him loftily down the ground for 4. One bounce and over the rope. Now that was quite a shot. Really was. Absolutely taking the attack. That is McBride. Wonderful batting.
Well, you could conclude that they've just got the batting order wrong. They might as well reverse it the way they've been playing. I mean, actually, McBride's just come down. He played really well the other day, McBride. He just waltzed down, and he's not that powerful a striker, but he's popped it over Willie's head before.
It's rather an upside down innings, isn't it? Again, short ball this time, turned down to fine leg, setting off very quickly for the first run. It would just be the single. Saqib sends the ball back into the gloves of Bairstow. Ireland have now gone past the total they managed in the first ODI, and they're 177 for 7 in this 45th over.
And they got 5 overs to go, so they should get a total starting with 2, which is a mild advance. Camphor's a huge bonus for the Irish setup. Got a few runs from Harry Tecton, a few from Lorcan Tucker.
Willie around the wicket, Camphor on strike. Willie's there, short ball, he's tried to take it on. Gone through to Bairstow, missing.
So they will be learning so fast, Camphor especially. I mean, it's very impressive, very calm. He's not scored particularly quickly, but the situation every time he's come in just demands that someone hangs around there to make sure some sort of target is set.
Well, what would be interesting would be to see how he bats if he comes in with a
freedom.
Platform.
Yeah.
Would he be a Joss Butler-esque?
Well, that's asking a little bit much.
In his second ODI, short again, and he has tried to help this away. He's got hold of it out towards deep cover. There's a man on the boundary. The pick up and throw comes back in the run 2. It's hanging in the air. Wide boundaries here at the Ageas Bowl, but the ball sat up and extended those arms to lay some bat on it. He's on to 47, 179 for 7 after 45.
Yep, well, a bit of a sort of uppercut there. He didn't quite middle it, but he's got 2 more for it. He's nearing his second half century in ODI cricket in his second innings. Not too bad.
And against the world champions, which he said that he was almost pinching himself that he was even playing a game of cricket against a world championship side, albeit obviously not with all their World Cup winning team. However,
but they are the World Cup winners.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I think there's only about 4 players in this team played in the final. But I mean, I'm not trying to minimise his efforts.
Reece Topley from the pavilion end of the ground. And to McBride, pulls it from low on his hips. Behind square for 1. And towards Billings there, deep square leg. 180 for 7, 46th over. 2 wickets for Willie, 3 for Rashid, which included his 150th ODI wicket, making him the first England spinner, Vic, to make 150 in ODIs, which is quite something.
Yeah.
It really is. 5th England bowler overall. Saqib around the wicket now, his left arm, bowls full in the Yorker length to Camphor, brings his bat down into the pitch, and then Saqib leaping up to grab it. Topley leaping up to grab it one-handed.
I mean, it's a modern phenomenon, but he's always been more relaxed in white ball cricket than red. And he's got such confidence in Morgan, and it's mutual. Morgan gives him confidence, and Morgan has confidence in him as well. Often bowls him in the 48th over, doesn't he?
It's so psychological, isn't it?
Yeah.
Topley around the wicket, or a big slog attempted, and it's, I think, a bit of bat onto body and the ball dropping down on the pitch right in front of the batsman. Topley picking up.
And he's bowled with great confidence in this little series. He was good on Thursday. Today, he knows that the majority of them, they don't pick his googly.
No.
It's coming out beautifully. The leg break is spinning. It's full of zip. He's on top of his game at the moment.
Which again, when you consider the gap, the time out of cricket, he's really hit his straps so quickly around the wicket, and he's shaped himself up to play a scoop, and he's got it over the head of short fine leg. It will go for 4 as well. He made room for that as well, premeditated.
Well, he's got another 50.
And it's his second 50 in as many matches for Camphor, who is only in his second ODI. 50 on debut a couple of days ago, and he's 51 not out again here. What a shot to bring it up though with.
Well, that's a modern shot, improvised shot. Fine legs up in the circle. He scoops it over him, didn't quite middle him, it doesn't matter, he cleared him.
He's the only Irish player to score back-to-back 50s, having made 50 on debut. Facing up, he's shaped to play the same shot and instead adjusted and played it out square. Towards deep point where it's fielded. 1 run's taken. He's on 52, 185 for 7.
This is where we need that. We need Samson. I mean, how many players have got 2 consecutive 50s without ever playing a game of cricket in the country which they are representing?
Well, that's the stat, isn't it, to look at.
Andrew, where are you? Or Saltzman will tell us very shortly, I'm sure.
A missive will come in. But I mean, certainly nobody has done it in their first 2 one-day internationals for Ireland. And here's Topley over the wicket. McBride shaping to pull and missing. It's gone through to Bairstow. 185 for 7 after 46 overs then. Campher on 52 and really entertaining knock it is as well. McBride on 15. The partnership's worth 34. So Ireland batting on and trying to get up to 200. Vic, few more words from you, then Ishigo coming in.
Well, the lower orders done them proud, actually. In this match, Ireland were 86 for 5 when I think Harry Tector was out. Then 91 for 6. You thought, well, this is grim. Of course, in the first match they were 28 for 5. So it's quite an achievement on both occasions to get, 172 in the first match. They're going to get a few more in this one. They need a few more, mind.
I've got a solution.
What's
Vic.
that?
Reverse the batting orders.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's not a bad idea.
David Willey coming in now to Campher, who gives himself room, slaps it, leg
tall.
side, it's a short ball, beats that man at deep backward square, and we'll pick up another boundary for to Campher, who was just giving his side some hope. 189 for 7, he moves to 56.
Well, he got hold of that. It was an attempted bouncer. It was a bouncer, not a quick one. Might even be one of them slower ball bouncers, which I never used to face. Then he got hold of it, though. He smacked it between the 2 boundary fielders.
Bat hovering above the stumps as Willie bowls full. Campher up and over
more.
mid-off this time, and 1 bounce for him. Entertaining here at the end of the innings. He's bought himself that opportunity to really go big now as he moves to 60, 193 for 7.
It's only taken him 2 matches to be the best player in their team.
Well, what a find he's been.
Dear Mum and Dad.
What a find for Ireland. And you can understand the excitement around him with Graham Ford, discovered a couple of years ago in Pretoria, as Willie comes in again around the wicket. Campher this time dabs it to the offside. Down to 3rd man, comes through for 1. And goes to 61. 194 for 7. 59 in the first game, 61 here.
Well, what we didn't see in the first game, because we didn't have time, was the sort of innovation.
Yes.
You know, 2 lovely shots here. Sort of the hook shot, which was fairly orthodox, but nonetheless he clonked it, and then he made room and hit him over. Extra was terrific stuff.
So Willie has gone for 9 runs of his first 3 balls. Fine leg comes up inside the circle, deep backward square, deep mid wicket, long on back is over the wicket to McBride, who flashes outside the off stump, drives to cover, who's sat deep, comes through for 1. Oh, Morgan parries it to his right. So that is struck with real force. Goes to 195 for 7. Then the score inside this 47th over. Ireland, McBride to 16. They were bowled out, I think it was in the 45th over in that opening game, which is what you're talking about, Vic, as Willie circles at the top of his mark. Fine leg on the boundary, deep backward square, long on. Cover, 3rd man comes up and long off goes out. Reece Topley down there. As Willie approaches the crease, bowls, reverse ramp comes out from Campher up and over that man who's just come up inside the circle. He's playing with England here as he fetches another 4. And this is brilliant batting from Campher. He goes to 65 now, 199 for 7.
Well, that's lovely, isn't it? Brilliant. You know, 3rd man comes up, very obviously. Oh, well, I'll have to hit him down there then with the old reverse flick. And this is forced for the first time practically in the series. Owen Morgan runs over. Hang on, we better have a chat here. Let's try and do something. You sure we've got the right field set up here? They're not quite sure where to go. He's made them think here, Camphor.
Well, this is the benefit of world cricket, isn't it? Where they get to actually have a look at their opposition on video analysis prior to facing them out to the
now
middle.
he's changed the field. He's got another man on the leg side boundary. So he's going to have to bowl short now. He's going to bowl a bouncer.
Camphor
Sort of.
works it off his hips down to fine leg for a single at the end of the over. A good one for Ireland then. 15 runs from it, and that is 200 up for Ireland as they head into the last 3 overs of this innings. Camphor to 66 and McBride on 16.
Well, they could do with 3 more overs like that. And they might get him if Camphor stays there. He's got the strike as well. He's got 66 now. And, well, I mean, you would think England would get whatever they get now, but we saw what happened on Thursday. It's a slightly rusty England side. And they're going to get more than anticipated. Remember, this is an amazing recovery. 91 for 6 Ireland where they're 200 for 7. You're right about that batting order.
Yeah,
I mean, you were saying yesterday that I could have batted anywhere when I played for England, and the blighters usually put me right down the bottom. Something like that. I sort of paraphrase.
I think you've
That's Charlotte Edwards.
slightly just changed
Did I get
my words.
I'm going a bit deaf.
You asked me where I batted, and I said I batted not for England, but I did bat at 1 for
Anywhere.
my county.
Okay.
I started at 7 for England. I proceeded to head further south as Topley will continue from the
You were
pavilion.
beyond the Isle of Wight. Oh
I
well.
was heading on out to Australia as Topley runs towards us now, past the umpire, pulled away by Camphor out to deep mid-wicket. Short ball on the leg stump as the throw comes in. Single taken, goes to 67, 201 for 7. We're into the 48th over here at the Ageas Bowl. I was briefly mentioned that the players these days are pretty well set up for any new player coming into a team because they get to have a look at them with all the footage that's available, but they probably wouldn't have seen too much of Camphor.
Only Tom Banton. And he obviously didn't give him a very good rundown. Tom Banton played against him. We know this much. This much we know. Tom Banton played against him for England under 19s, and he always gets out to him now. He's got out to him twice. Whether Camphor got any runs in those matches, probably not. Otherwise, obviously, Tom would have passed on
the information.
Although he's quite orthodox, you see. So what do you say? I mean, until the end, he played in a very orthodox manner, hasn't he?
Topley bowls McBride into out. Is it going over extra cover? No. And they'll come back for 2 as Owen Morgan throws the ball in. He was backtracking, trying to get a clear sight of the ball, and it fell about 2 yards away from him as McBride just gave himself a bit of room, a good let delivery outside the off stump, and he moves to 18, 203 for 7. So Topley, top of his mark, coming in now with his new Rambo style haircut. Ball short, pulled by McBride, misses it through to Johnny Bairstow. There's 3 men back in the deep on the legs, 4 men back on the leg side. No mid-wicket. It's got a long on, deep mid-wicket, deep back with square and fine leg, short third on the offside. Point, deep cover, extra and mid-off up inside the circle. As
There've never been so many Rambo-like bowlers as we see now, is there?
lovely curly flowing hair as Topley bowls. Misses the stumps as it goes through to Bairstow. How did that miss? It was a good length delivery, just about nearly flicked the top of the leg stump as McBride backed away again, looking to launch him back straight.
I don't know how that missed. Topley did not know how that missed. It just missed leg stump, in fact, but he was swinging away. It's big boundaries here, of course. You really have to middle it if you're going to clear those men on the boundary. It's a really big shot.
Yeah, on the leg side, they're about 15 metres off the boundary. As Topley approaches the crease again, bowls short. And it bounces before it goes to Bairstow as McBride tries to smash it away to the leg side.
I think McBride is looking a bit aggrieved there. He wants a wide. That was one of those slower ball bounces. And he thinks, he's not a very big man, McBride. He thinks that might have gone over his head and should have been called a wide, but it wasn't.
Showing his full repertoire here, Reece Topley, as he's just having a chat to Owen Morgan at the top of his mark. One ball left of this over. It's been a good one for England, just 3 coming from it. Followed by 3 dot balls. Final ball then as Topley bowls. Good length. McBride pushes to the leg side.
It's good.
And we'll come back for 2. The call was 2 immediately as David Willey sprints in from deep mid-wicket. Throw comes into Johnny Bairstow. And an easy one. He paced that really nicely, McBride, at the end of the over. 2 for him then. Goes to 20. 205 for 7 with 2 more overs left of this innings. Kampfer has been outstanding. 67 from 85.
He has, and he's got at last he's got absolute licence to make merry. He's played some lovely exotic shots in the last couple overs. Ireland would love it if this pair could muster 20-25 from the last 2. Takes some doing on, especially on a big ground like this. I like flat sheet cricket on big grounds because if you hit a boundary, or
as a spinner talking,
well, it is partly a spinner talking, yes, but it's also a purist who likes the notion that if you get 4 or 6, you've got to deserve it. You know, you can't have miss hits going for 6 or indeed 4 on this ground because everywhere you look, it's a big hit.
Yeah.
So your leading edge shouldn't go for 4 here. You miss it should stay inside the boundary and be caught. So I'm all for big grounds. It is bizarre, you know, like golf courses get longer, batsmen hit the ball further, and what happens to cricket grounds? They shrink. Where's the logic there? Unless you hate bowlers.
Yeah, that's true. It's never nice for a bowler, is it?
Well, not to be miss-hit for 6.
That's true. So
anyway, so boundaries are harder to come by here, and I like boundaries to be a bit of an event. You know, I don't know how many 6s we've had in this innings, but not very many.
Can Kampfer pick one up as Mahmood is running towards him? He bowls full. Kampfer drives out to deep cover for 1. As the ball comes in, moves to 68, 206 for 7. So 11 more balls left of this innings for Ireland. What can they muster? 6s and over takes them up to 217.
Yeah, they want a few more than that, but well, I mean, as I say, from 91 for 6, it's a minor miracle.
I mean, against this England lineup on this track, you want more than 300, don't you, with their batting lineup?
But we saw what can happen with moderate scores. I mean, there is something in my notion that England, in one sense, are less comfortable chasing very moderate scores because they can think about how they do it, whereas they're happier really just going out there and blasting it, and then they usually score at 7 and over and job's done. But we'll see. It's made a game of it, just about.
Owen Morgan's taken himself out to deep mid-wicket, deep backward square and long on for Andy McBride. The left-hander is Mahmood. Hustles in, bowls full. McBride drives. Is it going to beat mid-off? No. Moeen Ali there diving to his left to stop it from going past, and will come through for another 1. Goes to 21 McBride, 207 for 7. As the field will change once more for the right-hander. Curtis Kampfer out in the middle. Back-to-back 50s in his first 2 internationals for Ireland. A real promising talent. Of course, he can bowl a few as well. Bowled good pace in the last game as Mahmood pushes away from the Hilton end as he bowls now. Kampfer outside edges down to third man. It's a good catch from Adil Rashid diving forwards. He threw the kitchen sink at that one, Kampfer. And unfortunately for him, he didn't connect in the way he wanted to. Finds its way to Adil Rashid, and he will have to depart for 68 as he turns, has a quick chat to McBride, who punches his glove and will make the walk back to the change room. But he's given his side a little bit of hope. 207 for 8 then, Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, that's a terrific innings. 68. Without it, we wouldn't have a game. We said this on Thursday when Kampfer left the field. A very good catch, actually. There was one weakness in England's fielding setup, they used to be in the ODI setup, and that tended to be Rashid. But he's actually, in his senior years, he's worked very, very hard at his fielding skills, and they're never easy at third man. It was an outside edge spinning towards him. He had to make a bit of ground, only caught it 3 or 4 inches above the ground, but he's in a very confident, relaxed state of mind at the moment. He's bowled beautifully, and as I say, he's a better fielder now than he was when he was much younger. So a wicket for Saqib, that's his second. Rashid will take great pleasure from that catch, and he managed to look pretty nonchalant when he caught it too. It wasn't easy. And Camford goes, but what a grand innings that is. And he, as I say, he's made a game for us. We've got 9 more balls. And the new man, well, he's not got great press, but did they cross? They probably did. They would like McBride to take as much of the strike now as possible.
A partnership worth 56 for McBride and Camphor as he scans the leg side field. Man down at long on, deep mid wicket, deep backward square, short fine. It's a deep cover out, and third man on the boundary is Mahmood. Races towards him, advances McBride as he whips that out to long on. Full length delivery on around leg stump as he comes through for that one. Goes to 22, 208 for 8. We're into the 49th over here at the Ageas Bowl, and 2 more balls left of this over. And Ireland trying to navigate themselves out of a tricky situation once again. 91 for 6 they were in the 28th in a partnership between Singh and Camphor and McBride, who stands at the non-striker's end. Craig Young is the next man in, bat high, as he pulls a ball high up in the air. It's a short ball from Saqib Mahmood. Johnny Bairstow is chasing after it. He drops the ball as he dives, and I think it might have bobbled back into his face as he falls forwards.
He is in some distress. He'll be all right. I think he's mostly distressed because he didn't catch it. He's up. He's okay. Just pride, I think, has been. I mean, it was a tricky one. He was sprinting away to the leg side. He thought he had it. He just got his fingertips to it, and then he fell, and so did the ball.
Yeah, it was.
1 or 2 wouldn't have got there.
Sam Billings was steaming in it deep.
Well, he'd have got there if he was
well.
keeping, but he's a very quick mover as well. But I think he'll be disappointed, but it was a good effort.
Here comes Mahmood. Bowls full to McBride. Goes between pad and bat as he looks to squirt it leg side at the end of the over.
Well, he's done quite well in that over, hasn't he, Mahmood? He's got a wicket. Hasn't been pummeled too much. And he's starting to feel, I'm sure, more comfortable wearing an England shirt. Hasn't been spectacular, but it's been pretty solid, brisk. Kind of looks the part. Someone else I heard saying he reminds you, I think it was Michael. Just looks a little bit, which is slightly alarming, like Waqar Younis as he runs up.
Yeah.
Not quite the same venom when he gets those Yorkers, but no one can reverse swing at the moment somehow. But nonetheless, he's done okay.
I had a conversation with Shoaib Akhtar the other day, and he's desperate to see just one ball in white ball cricket again. Just one ball being used.
I see.
In the
so
50
the reverse
overs.
swing. Well, there's a case for it. I mean, you'd struggle to get it to reverse swing here.
Yeah.
Grass is absolutely verdant, and so's the square. But it hasn't applied so much in this series, but sometimes the balance between bat and ball has not been quite right. It's been too easy for batsmen just to swing through the line.
So the final over of this innings, Ireland on 209 for 8. And it will be Craig Young on strike, the right-hander. Topley bowls around the wicket to him, and he misses it completely as it goes through to Johnny Bairstow. Just 4 runs coming from that last Saqib Mahmood over then. So he finished 2 for 45 from his 9.
I mean, it's such a fantastic art reverse swing when it's done. I mean, I remember watching Waqar and Wasim in the, where are we? I suppose the early 90s. God. I mean, it was
ferocious.
I mean, I was pleased to, otherwise I wouldn't have any toes left. I'd be tired by then.
Plenty of toe crunches as Topley bowls a good length delivery Young inside edges it through to Bairstow as he tries to swat it away leg side. And Topley will return to the top of his mark. I mentioned Rambo. He also looks like Topper from Hot Shots, which, I mean, he was trying to be Rambo in that. No, you don't remember Topper. But he is sporting a beard.
Lots of others will. I'm sure Kevin does.
She's got a bit of an extra facial hair as Topley bowls a slower ball. It's chipped in the air by Young. Willie diving forwards at mid-off.
Can't reach
His
it.
hat comes off, cannot reach it. He parries it forwards and Topley comes in to collect the ball
I think Young,
from the floor.
Young thought he was out there. It was a horrible looking shot. Oh, there's Topper. Graham's on it. Our producer's on it. Oh, right. No wonder you remember him.
Charlie Sheen. So one is taken and they go to 210 for 8. 3 more balls left then of this over.
Well, they got the right man on strike.
Yeah.
Because, as I say, with at this stage, with 5 men on the boundary and hard to clear them. So the options are, if you can't get a 4, try and get a 2 and keep McBride on strike.
Just organising the field as Topley comes in now. Past the umpire to McBride. Drives, misses it. So he's looking to launch that back down the ground, up and over the Rod Ramsgrove Pavilion. Here he is rehearsing that's his golf shot, Vic.
Right. Well, a bit like yours. He's got a good follow through, actually. So I don't think anyone could have hit it over that Rod Ramsgrove Pavilion. It's a long, long way, that, isn't it? It's a lovely slower ball, actually, from Topley. He's drawing on some of his expertise there. He swung too early.
So he's got the far leg up inside the circle. Their man back as McBride slaps this out too deep mid-wicket.
They go for 2. You've got to go for 2. And they
do come back as there's a miscommunication by the 2 men out in the deep. David Willey in the end picking the ball up and throwing it in. There's I think it's Sam Billings at deep mid-wicket. You can tell because he's got his bright blue cricket spikes on as he returns to that position now. So another conversation between Owen Morgan and his big fast bowler, Topley. Looks down the track at McBride, who's again having a look at the leg side field. Open stance, bat high. Topley bowls short, and has he got something on it as it comes through? He does. It's been given out. He has. It was a lethal delivery from Topley. It was only 81 miles an hour, but it looked to come through with some pace.
So he's got a wicket on his comeback, and he's deserved it, actually, hasn't he? That's it. It's all over. 212 for 9. And it was a funny end because he ended up trying to get out of the way of it.
Yeah.
Must have brushed his glove. So 213 to win. Well, that's 30 more than the other day. But they'll need a magic first 50 to 20 overs, Ireland, where somehow they conjure 4 or 5 wickets, 3 or 4 wickets, and then try and put the pressure on the rest. But it's a better performance. They batted the overs. Once again, though, it's been the lower order that got them to just about respectability. As I kept saying, as I was saying to Ali earlier on, the problem for Ireland is not the young guys, it's the older ones in the team are not firing at the moment. The 3 senior batsmen, they wanted at least 1 or 2 of them to make a substantial innings. Then you can have these young guys playing around them. So it's not the youngsters' fault. Anyway, we have a bit of a game.
We do. 1 for 31 from his 9 overs then, Reece Topley, and Ireland do end up completing the overs. They do bat out the full quota because that was a wicket off the final ball of the innings. 212 on the board then for the Irish after being in a position of 91 for 6. So we'll just run you through the scorecard. Ireland winning the toss and opting to bat first here at the Ageas in the second of 3 one-day internationals. Delaney was the first to go. LBW to Willie when the score was on 12. Paul Sterling out for 12. Court Banton bowled Willie. Balbirnie, the captain, caught by Bairstow, bowled by Vince. He came on into the attack. David Willey was off the pitch for a brief spell, and so Owen Morgan just needed a few more overs, and James Vince at his home ground picked up his first international wicket, the one of Balbirnie. The score was 3 for 39 at that stage. Kevin O'Brien then departed, bowled Rashid, not picking the googly. Following him was Harry Tector, who batted a lot better in this game. 28 to his name, caught Mahmood, bowled Rashid. Lorcan Tucker followed for 21, caught by Topley, bowled by Rashid. And the score was on 91 for 6. Then a partnership between Simi Singh and Curtis Campher worth 60 before Singh was caught by Bairstow, bowled Mahmood for 25. Curtis Campher himself departed towards the end of the innings, caught Rashid, bowled Mahmood for 68, and followed by McBride with the final ball of the innings. So 212 for Ireland at the end of that first innings. And ground staff are on the field. Players have disappeared up into the dressing room. A few clouds up above, but the sunshine beating over the ground as we will have the interval, and I will hand over to Kevin Howes.
I haven't got the time. I've got to stay up to see you on the telly tonight, but I guess it's going to be a little bit late again. But early in the morning you can catch it on the iPlayer, I'm sure, for the highlights as well. We'll give you the time on the BBC Two highlights later. Today is the first day of 4-day county cricket this summer. Hallelujah. The Bob Willis Trophy is being contested by 18 first-class counties, who is also due to be played in front of spectators at the Oval in Edgbaston. Daniel Norcross is at the Keir Oval for us. Dan, we'll talk about the lack of crowds in a moment, but first it's Surrey versus Middlesex. Bring us up to date with what's going on.
Well, Middlesex won the toss on what's been a fairly blameless pitch, you have to say, and they've cruised to 234 for 4. It's all been about Nick Gubbins. Now, you'll remember a few years ago, Kevin, he was very much in the frame, being talked about as an England opener. Well, he had some injury problems. He had some troubles with his hamstrings, but we thought he might have come back into it with a good performance in the North-South series a couple of years ago. Then he had a pretty wretched season. I think he averaged only about 22 last year. Well, he's 139 not out today, and he has looked in tremendous nick. Surrey have got an awful lot of players out there, as 7 of their regulars are in various bio bubbles. So it's a fairly unfamiliar looking lineup, and that's shown in the number of bowlers they've used. They've had 8 bowlers today, and we've been treated just lately to the sight of Scott Borthwick, who does a very good impersonation of Shane Warne. He's absolutely convinced that he's got his man with every ball, even if it's speeding to the boundary. But I mean, it's been entertaining. It's a little bit strange, of course, because we're in the 84th over here, and with Middlesex 4 down and John Simpson relatively new to the crease, you might imagine they'd be looking to take a new ball, but you can't take the new ball in the Bob Willis Trophy until 90 overs have been bowled. There's also 90 overs in a day, so praise be, Kevin. I think we're going to finish on time. There's about 6.5 overs to go.
Notice that for the warm-up matches, they rattled through their overs, so keen to get on the cricket field and keen to get a decent day in as well. All right, well, we mentioned this. There were supposed to be spectators with you today. That wasn't allowed to happen after the government's announcement yesterday. Have you been I presume you have, talking about that today at the ground?
We've been talking about it a lot, and I spoke to Richard Gould about it, and I spoke to him yesterday about it as well. The moment we found out, it was so disappointing, because such a lot of effort and work had been put into it, and it's the ideal ground to try these things out. It's very large. There's plenty of opportunity for social distancing, and for it to have happened at such short notice was, I think, devastating for a lot of the people who have been involved in trying to make it happen. One thing I will say though, Kevin, and we didn't have people rock up. I mean, I was slightly worried that not necessarily everybody was glued to their phones and checking their emails, but somehow word has got out. So fair play to Surrey for that, because 2,500 people, you might have imagined, even 100 may have been here and been disappointed, but they haven't. So, it's not what we hoped it was going to be. But, it's still cricket. And I got the opportunity this morning to talk to Richard Gould. And I asked him, when did he find out this rather disappointing news?
Yeah, it was relatively short notice. I've got a text from ECB about 22:12 with the Prime Minister. I think it went on at 12:10. So from then, It was clear that it wasn't going to happen, and our sort of priority was to make sure we could let people know. So we started drafting emails and sort of profuse apologies.
And I guess the major emotion is disappointment, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We were lucky enough to host a trial on Sunday and Monday of the week just past, and we'd seen how well it had gone and how well people had received it, and the enjoyment that people had. And so we were the next stage of the trial is to increase those numbers, and there's still a very valid reason for that to be done. It's just unfortunately it's not going to be this weekend.
Obviously I know hugely disappointed about it not happening for this match, but it means that a lot of that work has already been done, I guess, in the hope that another pilot could happen here. And how much time and effort does that take?
It took sort of 9 solid days really for all of the staff that were involved, and we brought quite a lot of staff back off furlough also to help with this, particularly on the catering side, because the stewarding side aside, you have to make sure that all of our catering provision follows the appropriate guidelines, and that means opening up kiosks that haven't been open for 9 months are a little bit dusty. That involves, for example, cleaning 12,000 seats. So we've had a team of a dozen people in here for 2 days, wiping down all the seats. It's all those elements. It's quite a fascinating project for us, to be honest.
Have you had any feedback from any of the 2,500 who you've had to let down, but who have been let down by this?
We feel that we've let them down because you inject that degree of hope and promise, and suddenly gets taken away. And clearly, you look at social media and see the reactions, and there are some angry reactions, there are some understandable reactions, and others saying, "Well, what do you expect? We're in the middle of a pandemic." So you see the whole gamut of people's thoughts.
A lot of people, they slightly mocked county cricket at the beginning of the pandemic. They said, well, surely county cricket can happen because it's already socially distanced. It's a very easy jibe to make. Give me an idea of the volumes of people who contacted you. Firstly, for the 1,000 pilot that you got off the ground successfully, and then the 2,500 pilot here.
Yeah, the friendly pilot was incredible. The phone literally rang 10,000 times in the first hour, and we couldn't pick it up that many times because we didn't have the number of staff, and the ticketing systems that we were using just didn't allow us to do it online at that particular one. So there's been huge demand for the second games with 2,500 in each ground for each day. We would have certainly reached capacity. We could have done more than that. But the numbers, the dynamics are interesting in there's many more people coming in singles and pairs than you would normally expect. So take for a T20 match when we're sold out here, normally the average number of tickets purchased per transaction is 5.4, something like that. For these games, it's down in the 1 and a bit, and that's because people are adhering to the social distancing norms. They're not coming in large groups outside of their bubbles. They are being responsible, and I think that's all part of the trial to understand how people are going to respect the social distancing laws, and from what we've seen, they will, and that gives us confidence that we can get people back in sooner rather than later.
So, what is the timeline to get people back in sooner rather than later? And I know this one's not happening for the 1st of August. What's your hope for the future?
Yeah, well, if you forgive me for making up as we go along, but sometimes I have to do that a little bit. There's a review on the current guidelines in 2 weeks' time. The following week, on the 22nd of August, we start a 4-day game here against Kent. And I'm hopeful that when the review is announced and these trials are put back on, we'll get the go-ahead, because we're ready to go now. We've got a licence from Lambeth. We've got all our plans in place, and we can get a good crowd in here within 3 or 4 days' notice.
How difficult has it been for the club in the last 4 months? How have you managed to keep the players and the staff and the wider staff here at the Oval going, really?
I think it's been a real challenge for all clubs. A lot of clubs, ourselves included, have had to put a lot of staff on furlough just simply because there weren't any jobs for them to do, unfortunately. Players have been put on furlough. That wasn't something that we in Lancashire did, but we can understand why it happened. And it's meant that it's taken a little bit longer for the players to get their fitness ready, get fitness going. That's why some of the elements have changed in for example, 90 overs in a day, just to make sure that we protect the fast bowlers. And And it's been a 2 to 3 month journey effectively from when we were first saying, right, let's get some county cricket on. And a lot of people were looking at us and go, well, you're mad. That's never going to happen. Let's just lock up for the season. But we can't. We can't be a sport that goes a year and a half between when our teams play or our spectators come into the ground. The damage would just be too extreme. We have to try.
Well, Richard Gould is Chief Executive of Surrey, is talking there to Dan. Dan is still on the line. I keep on hearing this word disappointed, and yet I think I'm picking up on something other than disappointed, Dan.
Well, I think we've got to be quite careful here, because I think it was a very, very challenging thing for them to have to deal with at 1 day's notice. But by the same token, Surrey desperately want to be in position to do the trial the moment it becomes possible. So you heard there Richard talking about how there's the potential for another trial to take place maybe in 3 weeks' time if things go well. So I think people are being very diplomatic, Kevin, at the moment. I don't think... I think they were more than disappointed, and I think it would have been quite a crushing blow after all the work they've put in. I mean, if you think about a lot of the stewards and the people who had been expecting to get a day's work, and imagine how they feel. Imagine how Surrey feel. Are they going to pay those stewards, or will they not? And if they do pay them, will they be compensated for it? Because it's such a thing to organise. It's so alien to them as well. As Richard was talking about there, you have to learn so many new skills. It's quite an effort. And as you will know yourself from being in the bubble at the Aegeus Bowl, an awful lot of people go into making it possible for these things to happen. And to find out
doing what they're asked to do, everything they're asked to do.
Well, that's exactly it, isn't it? They're conforming exactly to what's requested and required, and then that happens at such short notice.
Okay, all right. So, in terms of the cricket, though, you have cricket. I say reason to be celebrating. How about what else has been going on up and down the country today on the field?
It's been happening in all three groups. So just so people understand, there are three groups, if you like, a Midlands group, a South group, a North group. 6 teams in each. They'll all play each other once, and the 2 group winners with the most number of points will contest a 5-day final at Lords. So Northants, they were the first side to be bowled out. They were all out for 142. This is in the Midlands group, and Ollie Stone there picked up 4 for 39, but they bounced back a touch with the ball. Warwickshire 98 for 4, Yates 52 not out. Somerset, who you'd imagine might well be one of the favourites for this tournament, they struggled early on, but they've now recovered to 282 for 9, and very excitingly, Stephen Davis and James Brooks, they're having a fantastic 10th wicket partnership. Brooksy Ferret, he's no longer the Ferret, he's 59 not out in a 10th wicket partnership of 93. How long may that go on? Gloucestershire 239 for 7 against Worcestershire. Chris Dent with 92. That's the Midlands group. South group, I told you about Middlesex, Surrey. Just an update on that. 245 for 4 now. Nick Gubbins 143 not out against Surrey. Sussex 176 all out. Mason Crane, remember him, took 3 for 23. Hants 36 for 1. Kent are playing another of the favourites, Essex. They've had very few of their players taken away, only Dan Lawrence really. 314 for 6 Kent are, and Heino Kuhn is 130 not out. They were 23 for 3. Often wickets go down early, don't they, at Chelmsford, but Kent have bounced back. So that's your South group. And in the North group, not a great start for Durham. They've had to rein up there, but they were skittled out for 103 against Yorkshire. Ben Coate taking 4 for 23. Yorkshire in reply 31 without loss. Lancashire 251 for 5 against Leicestershire. Dane Villas got 90. And Nottinghamshire 252 for 7 against Derbyshire. Just remember, Hasib Hamid is playing for Notts, and he started well in his first game for them. He's made 68. So there are all your scores, Kevin.
And I think that brings an awful lot of smiles, an awful lot of faces to hear that as well from Hasib Hamid. So thank you for that, and thanks, Dan. And more to come, of course. Coverage continuing on the BBC Sport website and here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Over the next 3 days, what we've got more imminently for you, it will be the second part of the second one-day international between England and Ireland. Ireland scoring 212 for 9 off their 50 overs. Very important. Curtis Camphor knock again, a 68. That means his 2 matches played for Ireland. He's got half centuries today, a career best 68. Terrific knock from him, so well done to him. 212 for 9. We'll see a resumption here in the next 15 minutes or so. And the highlights, well, they're on BBC One tonight at 10 to 11, so it's earlier. We don't have to stay up quite so late tonight. And it's after Match of the Day. If you want to see that, in-play highlights on the website between now and then anyway. OK, looking forward to this next bit. All right, I just enjoyed talking to Dan, of course. But on BBC Two tomorrow night, a chance for us all to see a fantastic cricket documentary film that you may have heard us talk about when it was shown in the cinemas last year as well. It's called The Edge, and it charts England's rise to the top of the Test rankings under coach Andy Flower and the captain Andrew Strauss, but then follows the breakup of the side afterwards. The documentary includes some very honest and revealing insights from members of that team, including here Matt Pryor and first Stephen Finn.
The doctor would ask me, how's the bowling going? Just burst into tears. I was trying so hard to get it right and trying not to let myself down, I suppose.
I had a 3-inch tear in my Achilles tendon that no one knew about. I played with that for about 5 months, and the place I wouldn't want to go back is sat at Lord's in the dressing room by myself in tears, knowing that I was going to have to make a decision to not play cricket for England. Just was awful and lonely.
It's a very raw film, so often during which I think you may feel quite emotional, to say the very least. Director of the film is Barney Douglas. Barney, I've been racking my brains to think how many years ago did you and I first meet on a county cricket ground with you, one of the pioneers of cricket and digital videos and all that sort of thing at Sussex? And look at you now. Amazing.
Wow,
terrific. It is. Hey, mate, well done. Congratulations. Sort of back to front. The response you've had to this film has been amazing. You must be so chuffed.
Yeah, really delighted, obviously for the film, also for the players as well, because it took some guts to be as brave as they were and as honest. And the fact that everyone's responded, this really seems to have touched quite a lot of people in this country in particular, and that's been the most pleasing aspect of it, really. I think we wanted to say something that was more than just about cricket, and hopefully we've done that, yeah.
You say guts on their part, and yet looking at the film and then looking at some of the reaction from the players themselves afterwards, it's almost a feeling as though they're pleased to have got, if you like, the whole story out there. Do you share that feeling?
Yeah, I think it was quite therapeutic for a lot of the guys, and when we got back together for the premiere last year, it was kind of one of the first time they'd all been together for quite some time, and I do feel like that with a bit of distance they were able to look back and kind of reflect on those times, both good and bad, with a lot more balance probably, and then, you know, move on with the next phases of their life, really. So I do think that overall they've definitely found it, you know, a pretty enjoyable experience, and it's always good, yeah, when it touches other people as well, which is what it seems to have done.
The reason that the players allowed you to sort of tell this story is because, the word I hear time and time again, is because they trusted you. Just explain to those that don't know why they got to trust you, what your job was at one time in getting to know these lads.
Well, in the early days of like online video, I worked for the England team and kind of went on tours with them and sort of did videos that no one ever really watched, and probably ended up in a few bars with them and stuff like that. So they kind of got to know me, and they knew that, you know, I was a trustworthy guy, and I wasn't out to do any sort of hatchet jobs on people. I just wanted to kind of authenticity, really. So they understood that they were in safe hands and that I was going to represent them fairly at the end of the day. So that was a really good sort of head start for me, and definitely made it better film. So I think that was the key in getting them all together and to kind of speak again on camera about kind of traumatic times in their lives, but also brilliant times as well. I mean, those clips you played are obviously emotive and quite dark, but there was also a lot of fun along the way. You know, there's some great victories and all that kind of stuff.
Were you clear about the story you wanted to tell, or was there an element of it that actually developed in a way that you might not have fully appreciated when you set out to tell this story?
Well, I always felt that Trotty was quite key. Jonathan Trott's quite key to the story of the team. The way he came in with such success and the way that the mental toll it took on him, that was always a key angle for me. But I was surprised that it developed more and more that other players had gone through similar lonely times, basically, and struggled with the pressure and the intensity and the kind of desire for success. And that was something that kind of grew as filming and as the interviews went on. So that certainly drove it towards that direction more than I'd originally anticipated. But Trotty in particular was always somebody that I wanted to focus on with the human element in mind.
I mean, we have it to a certain extent here. We've sort of focused our chat on the downside, if you like, or the more challenging aspect from that human point of view. But the story is about a coach and a captain that wanted to turn England into something pretty special, and that they did. And that is where the story begins, presumably, and where, you know, the film takes off initially.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, that's the thing about top level sports, isn't it? It's the sacrifice, it's the commitment, it's how much you can give to be the best in your field, and how much you want it, and how much you've got to drive yourself to the point of exhaustion, really, in some instances, to try and achieve that. I think maybe the way that is done has changed since. I think Owen Morgan's had a really great influence on the one-day side and the way that England approaches their cricket now. But definitely at the time, that was the way it was seen to be done. And I think those glory years were brilliant. I mean, it was a terrific Test side, full of characters, full of real natural talents as well. It's full of personalities, and I think that's what made it such a compelling team to watch. And yeah, hopefully that comes across in the film.
It was an obsession, or was that too strong, of those that wanted to turn England into the number one team?
Yeah,